Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, the place to come to get what you need to move yourself forward. Hey, it's Mary Baker, and welcome to episode 188, the best of assertiveness episodes. Welcome back to this month where we are counting down the top 5 episodes that you've decided that helped you the most, according to the topics you said you liked the most. Well, this week we're going to be getting on my absolute favorite soapbox, and that is the concept of assertiveness. Over many years of studying, teaching, learning, and doing my own work around personal growth, I believe we cannot have good self-esteem if we cannot own our voice. We can't feel empowered unless we are standing in and living our truth. We cannot have healthy relationships without being in a place of choice. This is why I'm building a course on this, because I believe in it so much. More on that to come. So this week, we're going to listen in on some of the most popular episodes about the different components of being more assertive. The links to the full episodes are in the show notes, and all the episodes are always available for you to listen to at ownitpowercast.com. So the first one is all about what assertiveness looks like in our everyday relationships. In episode 23, What Assertiveness Looks Like, we talk about how it's really about taking responsibility for what we think, feel, and need. It is also a way to speak to others with emotional honesty, showing understanding and respect, while respecting ourselves and our boundaries. So without further ado, let's listen in on episode 23. So when it comes to assertiveness, what I've learned over the years is first, we have to define what assertiveness is not, and also talk about some of the distorted beliefs around assertiveness, because I think it really gets messed up for people, especially for women, where they've been given the message that assertiveness is aggressive, that we're supposed to be compliant and quiet. I also think that men are historically taught to be aggressive instead of assertive, and so they have a harder time asking for what they need without being angry. So here are some of the distorted beliefs. I mean, some of this are really obvious. Some may not be as obvious to you, some may be more subtle. The first one, it's selfish to put your needs before others' needs. And you're not doing that. Remember, healthy detachment, just because they doesn't mean I, has nothing to do with anyone else. You can be considerate of others' needs, of course, but that's what negotiation is about as well. The second one, it is shameful to make mistakes. You should have an appropriate response for every occasion. No. Sometimes you might feel lost. Sometimes you might feel frustrated, and it's okay to make a mistake, and it is healthy to be able to talk about them. In fact, it's crucial. The statement, we're only as sick as our secrets, is very true. 3, you can't convince others that your feelings are reasonable, then you must be wrong, or maybe you're going crazy. And you have to explain and explain and explain your point to give the backstory, to rationalize it, make it valuable. That's not true. Other people choose to listen to you, to hear you, and to validate you. But the number one person who needs to validate what you need is you. So as you just heard, assertiveness is not selfish. It is the most honest, kind, and productive way to speak to others, especially if we need to negotiate needs and problem solve together. Being open and honest is not always easy, and it can often be punished, especially if you're a woman and mislabeled as aggressive or uncaring. To talk about this more, let's listen in on a clip from the second most popular episode, episode 24, What Assertiveness Looks Like. You're going to feel so much better as you do. And here's the thing. Other people are going to have to eventually have more respect for you. Being assertive is all about taking responsibility. It's about taking responsibility for what we need. We look to ourselves to voice what we need, whether it's their time, their attention, we need their help with something, etc., etc. It's our responsibility around what we're choosing, what our boundaries are to be. What are our policies? What are our values? What are our defining boundaries? What's our bottom line and why? That's our job. It's our job to figure out what they are and live them out, even when it's hard. That's not on other people, and that's a really big concept. If you grew up in a family where everybody put their stuff on someone else, this might be a little bit of a learning curve, even though if you understand it intellectually, putting it into practice might take some time. So if you struggle with that, it's not your fault. You just want to commit to really owning that, reminding yourself. It's your responsibility to act maturely in a calm and grounded manner before you open your mouth. If you can't do that, you're not ready to have a dialogue about it yet. If there's any there still, you're still pissed off, you're still a little twisted about what's going on, it's not time to sit down and ask for what you need. You can just say, hey, I need to think about this. I'll get back to you. I need a timeout. Going back and being emotionally honest and grounded and peaceful is so much more respectful of them. Remember, they need to feel just as emotionally safe as you do. So we really want to take care of that. We don't need to be splashing that stuff on other people. That's for us to figure out. So as you can see, it's all about being emotionally honest. Like telling people what it's really about, what's really going on for us, and not beating around the bush. It's about mutual respect. You're respecting yourself, you're asking them for respect, and the way you are articulating what you need and what you won't do is in a healthy, respectful way. There's I statements. There's no you statements in any of this, except for when you say, when you do that, it hurts my feelings and I'd like you to stop. That's the only time we mention them, briefly. The focus, though, is on ourselves. So as you can see, being assertive means having your insides match your outsides. Being confident in your truth, especially as you share it with others. To me, it's being authentic, emotionally safe, and respectful. So check out the full episode and get the bonus download of assertive phrases in this week's newsletter. Hit me up on social if you don't have it, and I'll get that to you. When we're learning how to be assertive, we literally need to know how, meaning what to say when and how to say it and why it's healthier. That's why that download can be helpful and guide you in finding ways to express yourself that feel authentic and confident. Okay, our next episode is episode 99, Stop Apologizing and People-Pleasing, which is all about how this behavior, I think, is the opposite of being assertive and setting boundaries for ourselves. In fact, this clip gets into how we lose our self-respect and that of others when we don't stand in our truth. So let's listen in on the third episode. It's guaranteed you're going to end up resentful and dissatisfied in your relationships because it's unequal, your needs aren't being met, it's not sustainable because your needs aren't being met. And there's no real deep, vulnerable connection because it's not honest. And here's the thing, and I run into this all the time when I work with relationships, because what happens is the other person starts to lose respect for you and therefore can't trust you. You're too agreeable, you never argue or say no. And so that's great at the beginning because they get what they want, and you're very compliant and pleasant and go with the flow. But after a while, you're not real or believable, and they can't relate to you. Like, don't you ever get upset? Like, why don't you ever say no? And here's the thing. Why should they trust you if you're not being emotionally honest? You're not telling them no when you need to say no. You're not bringing up issues. They're the only ones bringing up issues. It's not real. And here's the thing. You, over time, can't even trust you. Because when your truth is whatever works in the moment for other people, hell, you probably lost yourself in a relationship by now, and you don't even know what your truth is anymore. Do you know how many times people tell me, Mary, I don't even know what I need anymore. I couldn't even tell you. Your relationships have no boundaries now either, and so negotiating and problem solving can't happen. You can't negotiate unless you have two separate, healthy enough people being honest with one another, being accepting, but knowing what they're willing to do and not willing to do. Oh, you'll eventually say something, all right. Probably in a big argument. When you stack so much dynamite of resentment, you blow everything up, sometimes beyond repair, because you didn't take care of yourself along the way. So over time, people-pleasing is not a good thing. It's destructive, and we don't end up with healthy relationships. We don't end up with vulnerable, meaningful connections, and we lose who we are. Eventually, something is going to give. So when we stop the people-pleasing, we look within and work on the things we need to address in order to feel more confident and to build self-trust. Because assertiveness has several important aspects that aren't skills per se, but things we may need to work on, to heal within, or build. One of these is the ability to detach and not focus on others, and instead take responsibility for our own behavior. I talk about this on the fourth most popular episode on assertiveness, number 145, Healthy Communication. Assertiveness is more than just a skill. Here it is. This leads into the next aspect of being able to be assertive, is self-trust. It is such a huge part of self-confidence, self-esteem, and mental health. You know, I don't think you can be assertive if you don't believe yourself first. You can't ask for what you need in a relationship if you don't trust that what you need is valid. And that, guess what? You're the only one who gets to decide what you need. And that is true. No one has a right to tell you what you need and don't need. You get to decide whether that's true or valid for you and why it is. Another way you build self-trust is you work on following through on things you promised yourself, like maybe meeting deadlines, changing habits, prioritizing your time and energy, detaching from unhealthy people, taking care of your physical health, practicing self-care. Your self-talk is honest, yet it's loving and it's kind and it's compassionate. And you don't share your vulnerable stuff with people who can't support you trusting yourself, who are going to question you, either out of their own anxiety or their own jealousy or unhealthiness. You need people around you who say, of course you need a day off. Or that makes sense that you think that. Or I hear you. I understand that's what you value. That's what you believe. That's what you feel. Those people can practice the next aspect of healthy assertiveness, and that is detachment. That is a word you're going to hear often on the show. If you've been listening, you've heard it a whole lot. It's very important. Detachment means it's not that we don't care. We care a whole lot, but we really try hard to let go of the outcome. In other words, we're not acting out in fear-based ways. It means we're not reactive and emotionally immature. It means we don't make demands and we don't try to control. If we catch ourselves doing it, we stop and we say, wait a minute. What am I doing? I'm lashing out because I'm not getting what I want. It's good to honor your feelings of disappointment and fear and anger and frustration. But what you don't do is you don't put that on other people. They can either listen to you or not, hear you or not, honor you or not, join with you in sharing that value or not. And detachment means I have to go kicking and screaming to acceptance that is what's going on for them, and that's not my business. What my business is me. Okay, now what am I going to do now that the ball has come back to me from them? What am I going to choose? What am I going to grieve? What am I going to work through? What am I going to just let go of? What do I need to do to take care of me? So healing, building self-trust, and detaching from what is going on for others builds our self-esteem and strengthens our ability to stand in our truth with them. Well, to continue this theme of how assertiveness is all about the power within, we are down to our fifth and final most popular assertiveness episode, and that is 178. Being assertive requires inner strength. In this episode, we get into some woo-woo, in that we need to start trusting or trusting again our thoughts and our gut. Because when we don't, we can't honor ourselves. We can't stand in our truth and speak what we know and need if we don't trust it first. So here's a clip from episode 178. Okay, so that's the boundary stuff. Next, I want to talk about needs and feelings. I think they're intertwined with boundaries. I've always believed that. I don't think you can ask for what you need without knowing your limits and not saying no to something, especially people-pleasing, right? You can't people-please and ask for what you need. So owning your needs and your feelings, and that means no more passive-aggressive behavior and no more manipulating to get needs met. No more putting our stuff on other people. No more because of you, I. Because you came late today, I can't get anything done kind of statement. Because you won't help me in the kitchen, I have to do it all by myself. So first, I think it's really important to focus on what are needs, because a lot of people are really out of touch with that. For a good reason, because growing up, maybe you had to disown or stuff those needs because they weren't validated and honored or taken care of. So here are a few examples of needs, and these are not wants, guys. These are needs. You need them just like you need to eat, need to sleep, and you need air and water. You need healthy mirroring from other people, reflecting back who you really are. You need acceptance. You need some laughter. You need to feel like you belong to something good. To feel safe, physically and emotionally. Sometimes you're going to need recognition, to feel proud of yourself, to feel loved, cared for, respected, accomplished, and to have some healthy control. There's a million more, guys, but that gives you a sense of what I'm talking about. You need those in order to function in a healthy way. You know, people act out and lash out because of unmet needs. They step out of relationships because of unmet needs. They become depressed and anxious because of unmet needs. So it's a big deal to look at that. So those are the 5 most downloaded assertiveness episodes. I hope you take some time to listen to each one, and to make it simple, I've put links to each episode in the show notes. Check out this week's newsletter, too, for the bonus download. So today we listened to bits of the top 5 assertiveness episodes, the most popular topic overall, according to how many times you guys have downloaded them. And I really like that, since I think it's such an important topic. We talked today about how assertiveness is so much more than just communication skills, but the work that we have to do on the inside that is crucial to do as we're learning to speak up for ourselves and have healthier relationships. We need to like, trust, and love the person we are bringing to the table. And in order to do that, we might first need to do some healing and some changing in these areas that we talked about today. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you can grab some time to listen in on these episodes or re-listen for a refresher, since we often need a gentle reminder of what we already know. Be sure to check the show notes at ownitpowercast.com to sign up for the newsletter that comes out every Tuesday if you don't already get it. All right, so pay it forward, keep focusing on you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you can begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, Own it now so you can really own it later.